The big six.
You gonna shuffle those?
I can see we already started. So as we always say, please like and subscribe our videos, and we really appreciate all the love and support we got from the last show. It means a lot. And tonight we are fortunate to have a guest with us, Mr. Leo Coker. Welcome.
What's up, big time? Glad to be here.
Wow.
I was born here, man. Tough crowd.
Hey, look, and for everybody who was worried about if Johnny's contract was going to be extended, we said we're going to send him
One
to
show.
Bertha, and Gertha.
Oh my God!
And let him come back. So welcome back.
I decided to come back, man, because I had to beat y'all. I left because I didn't get my trophy, and it's in my contract that I should have my trophy.
Your voice is needed, Johnny, in the room.
It really is. We appreciate you being here, man.
I'm here, big dog.
We missed you, man.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
What we talking about?
Hey, so tonight we're going to talk about, on a serious note, there was a time in our culture when things would happen publicly and we'd see it in the news and we'd be like, man, I know that's not us. That's not us as a people doing that. And it just seems like lately there has been a rash of things that have happened where it's us. You know, you go to the store and you see the kids falling down and losing their mind. It's us. You know, and that's not who we are. So we're going to spend some time and talk about that and get your voices in the room. So with that, I'm going to turn to Ronnie, because Ronnie, you know, he said he didn't get TV time, and I just want to see what you got to say.
I think that was a little slug. I don't think that was a fair intro.
I really don't think.
I'm sorry. Mr. Ronnie Davis, would you please grace us with your thoughts on it being us now versus it was never us?
I think because of the climate and the change in our kids, generation over generation, I think what has transpired is they have more or less
Same 15.
evolved into those who are part of the environment that they're in. Meaning, our kids are becoming like that of
The majority?
the majority.
How so?
Yeah, give us a little more.
But to start with the,
You know, for example, our kids now are listening more and more to not just, you know, it used to be
15 more.
R&B. Now they getting into different genres of pop, rock. Houston Livestock Rodeo.
So you think
Country
it's
and
the
Western.
music?
No, I think what it is, the mere fact that they are now being a part or embracing other cultures, other thought processes, when all that comes together like a mix,
10 more.
what ends up happening is they take on the personas of those that they're around.
that could I kind of want to know the specific behavior, because that could be a good thing, right? Like it could be a good thing.
So it's a good thing, but let me tell you the bad thing.
That's what I want to
So
go.
here's the
That's
bad
what I
thing.
want to know. Yeah.
They come home and tell you, Daddy.
Oh, they ain't telling me that.
Well, I'm trying to tell you.
Before you get it out your mouth, they ain't telling me that.
That's your kids. Some of these other black children go to their mother's father and tell them, Daddy, what they entitled to.
Oh, no,
What they
sir.
supposed to have.
No, sir.
What you supposed to do. How come I don't have a car? I'm gonna tell you something. When I grew up, I said something crazy to my daddy one day. We was coming from church. Pastor Davis, he didn't have his sketches all the time. I think he had on his wings.
It's Stacey Adams. Stacey Adams. Yeah, Stacey
We were
Adams.
driving home, and it's on me. And I made the mistake of saying something stupid about what I should have, in terms of like an allowance. You know, I should have an allowance. And my mama looked back at me like, don't say that.
I was about to say, you bleeped up.
It's coming.
Don't say that. He said, okay.
too late.
I'll tell you what. Give me 10. He said, you think somebody else your daddy. This is what we're gonna do. Because you think what you should have, I should whoop your ass.
Wow.
That's daddy.
That's what he said. He said, but what I'm gonna do, because you think you entitled to an allowance, we're gonna put you on the threshold now of getting out here and working. And I was like 14. I don't know about no job. I don't know about no job.
Fast forward, let me
15 when I go.
And tell me tell us what that taught you though.
It taught me that one, ain't nothing given to me. I'm not them. How much you had in your hand?
10.
I'm not them. My parents are my parents. I'm black all day, every day. I'm not white. I'm not Milano. I'm not Hispanic. My people believe in spare the rod, spoil the child. That's how I grew up. My best friend was an ass whooping. We don't do that no more. We so far from that. We so in this culture of wanting to
Be friends with your children.
yeah, cultivate some type of relationship. My daddy told me from day one, he said, hey man, we ain't friends. We ain't gonna be friends till you get your own family, your own house, your own job, your own kids. And I think what's happened with that, bring it full circle, our kids have become a part of this mix, this melting pot, where it's okay to speak out. It's okay to call CPS on your mothers and fathers. Who called? Bro, did you call CPS on your mom?
Man, my mama dialed the number and said, hit the last one. She dialed it for me and gave me the phone. What you want to say? But you know, I mean, I think that's good. But let me go back, because I think to center ourselves, there used to be some things that would happen that you knew wasn't us, right?
Right.
I go to the mall, back in the day I used to go to Sears. Y'all know about going to Sears.
What about Sears and Roebuck?
Sears and Roebuck, and I used to get them corduroys. Yeah. And I thought the H stood for happy, but my mama didn't want to let me know it's husky. But I got me some 12 H's.
Come on, man.
And I seen a little kid fall out on the floor. No, mama, I don't want to do it. I just knew. That shocked me. Like, what the Jesus? That happened. It used to be a time when you would see kids falling out. You just knew that wasn't us. Now, I don't know. Some of y'all that got a little soft in y'all parenting, because my mother, where you show out is where you get woe out.
Yep.
On site.
Yeah, on spot.
Yeah. I actually did that with my kid in a Target. And she did like a lot of children attempt to do, show out right there. And she flopped down in the floor. And I flopped down right with her and put my hands together like I'm sitting like Indian style. And I sat right there. And this white lady came up and she says, I totally understand what you're doing. I said, get the hell out of here.
This boy, G.
That's what I told her.
That's real.
I was being real, but it pissed me off to the point where I don't need your validation. See, that's the other thing. We think we need the majority's validation. Now, I knew what she was saying. I really appreciated what she was saying.
You're a teacher.
But from whence it came, no. So my mother used to tell us one time. I remember telling us, I remember where I was when she told us, don't put nothing in this basket. Don't do this, don't do that. And that lasted for 17 years, I think.
Yes, sir. They didn't repeat themselves.
They didn't have to, because I knew better. I knew better than to do anything that was against my mother. To this day, I'm 61 years old. To this day, the thing I hate the most is disappointing my mother.
I hate when you don't play either.
And I'm a grown man, but I hate it. I hate to disappoint my mother, man. By any means, it just hurts me to my heart.
So let me ask this question.
Yes.
Damn, what would cause an African American to go into a state institution and shoot it up and take lives like that?
That's a tough one. I mean,
10.
that bothers me. You think about that was never going to be us, right?
Consider.
And I think that as we move away from the neighborhood, we move away from, if you leave your yard and you act a fool down the street, Mrs. Jones gonna whip your ass, and then when you get home,
Yes, sir.
you're gonna get it from your parents. There's an accountability that you felt that, like I think Ronnie said, I wore my parents' name down the street. And so when that changed to, I don't know my neighbors. Think about it. Even in most of our communities, we go in the garage, close the door, and that's it.
Yeah.
You don't interact with your neighbors. So there's no accountability. There's no connectivity. Where if that kid that went to Michigan State and shot those people, somebody would say,
That's horrible.
Uncle Johnny losing it, whatever. Somebody need to talk to him. That doesn't exist.
No, Don't use my name like that.
I'm sorry.
Don't do that.
Uncle Joe.
That's better.
Uncle Joe. Let's make it.
Don't let it happen again.
I slipped.
We good.
But Uncle Joe has gone too far. Somebody needs to talk to him.
But I guess with that, so we kicking it around. Time coming up, growing up, anything that you just knew wasn't us as you grew up, or things that now perplexes you, like, man, that's us.
Well, I mean, y'all already hit on it. Talking back was
man.
even
Can't do
an
it.
option. I even asked permission one time to talk back, and
It didn't go well.
He had permission.
like
So Tom,
everybody's exposed.
I'm gonna push back on you on the mental health part. The reason why I understand that's the niche, right? What was mental health when we were kids? Before there was ADHD medicine, right?
They beat it out of you, man. I'm serious.
We don't do. Back to what I was saying. We don't do this.
You knew who they were, but everybody else seemed to. You don't see nothing like you do now, man. With all these folks with mental health issues, and so it just seems like stuff is just popping off.
So
One, and then two, it seems like there's this deal to get notoriety, and the way to become
Likes.
to get notoriety is like, let me go out here and do something
Yeah.
extreme,
I'm glad you brought that up though, real talk, because it's a two-edged sword for me, because I think it's important, right? For example, ADD. I have ADD. ADD absolutely runs in my family. So when I was diagnosed at 37 years old,
So you didn't know when you were young?
I'm juggle everything.
So let me ask you a question. If
Not hyper, not ADHD. It's just I'm not hyper. It's just ADD. Like my
brain.
Yeah, my front filter just takes in everything.
So let's ask you a question if you don't mind.
Sure.
So we can edit.
No, we
this out.
good. We good.
But like coming up through childhood and school, did anybody like figure that out or nobody?
No,
How
because I could handle everything that came my way,
Okay.
businesses, jobs, kid, and everything. But it just started adding on, and then there was one little thing, and it's like, what the hell is going on?
Right.
I went to the neurologist, gave me the test, and he said, "Man, your whole life about to
To a
change."
different one.
And it did within a year. I'm talking about from bachelor's degree to master. Like it 1, 2, 3, 4. It just organized everything.
Wow.
So in that, and that's what I'm saying. So then when I take it back to my family, crazy Uncle Joe, whatever, ADD, you need to go. Nah, and the whole family, oh, Uncle Joe crazy. No, Uncle Joe's really suffering. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There was a correlation with ADD and intelligence.
Yeah.
People would have that have attention deficit disorder. They have high IQs. That's what I was told. Yeah.
Don't believe everything you take, because he don't have that.
Well, I mean,
Man, that's very disrespectful.
Here's just the truth.
That's very disrespectful.
Whatever.
But but I think that could be some of what we're seeing too. Is some of that stuff kind of manifesting itself. People are acting it out.
Like you,
Sure.
And they talk about that the brain doesn't
I mean, my
really
15 back you called.
come full circle
Yeah.
till like 25.
Yeah.
And at that point,
Yeah. So again, and I don't know how we got on mental health, but we look at PTSD.
yeah.
Post-traumatic stress, right? And we associate that with military off top. Man, that PTSD could have been getting those 2 ass whoopings when you were little.
Exactly.
And anxiety and all of that. You know what I'm saying?
Trauma, yeah.
Yeah, trauma's trauma, man. So that's why I say it's a double-edged sword.
But if you, I think some of the stuff, if you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
You don't know what
You
you
done
know.
called it something now, that's what I had. All of us grew up with PTSD or whatever. The fear of God was put in me. I knew as soon as my mama got out the car, it was on.
Yeah.
It was on. You know what I'm saying? Because she done told me, as soon as I get home from work, you grass. That's all. And as soon as she got in, my blood pressure shot up. My heart rate started racing or whatever. Yeah, the anxiety. But I dealt with it though. You see what I'm saying? So I think.
So are you saying that we shouldn't have done that to our kids?
No.
Or that shouldn't have been done?
I'm a product. It worked for me. It was painful while I went through it, but it worked for me
Now, okay. So
because it taught me respect.
right, but you use You used a different method to raise your girls, though, didn't you?
No.
Were you the same as your
Oh
mother?
my goodness gracious, yes, Lord,
Bro.
Even to the point that
you can't tell me you've never mentioned anything about an extension cord to your daughter. Come on, bro. That's what I'm getting at.
I mean, so did I go to that extreme? I mean, that's a girl versus boy, but I disciplined them. They had a belt.
I'm not saying that.
But they had a belt. They didn't have no extension cord because extension cords were tools in my house.
Understood.
They tied around the clothes hamper to keep it together. Right. I got different tools nowadays. You see what I'm saying? I mean, that's just real talk.
Have you heard of a switch?
A switch, yeah. I had to go outside
And get your own switch.
You see how high the trees around my house? I break my neck trying to climb up there. You know what I'm saying? So the tools that we got today are different than what they were.
Let's ask our guest Leo here. What are your thoughts on that, man? Anything that is occurring now that you would have thought, never would, our parents wouldn't let us do that, or surely that's not black people doing that.
Well, I attribute kind of what Ronnie was saying previously, and me and my dad are like 30 years apart, and he was never my friend.
Coming up.
We didn't become real close until I became like maybe 30 with the family. Long story short is, back in the day it was black families. I lived in an all black area, so I wasn't really accustomed to a lot of white kids in the school. So it's kind of like us against them.
Right.
But I knew all my neighbors. My neighbors were like my dad, extended family. Yeah. And so we knew right from wrong. It goes back to this two things. I didn't want to disappoint my father. And my dad is only 5'7", but I was afraid of him.
What you mean only 5'7"?
Don't matter. So
I'm 5'7". What's Leo? I know you knew. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, when we kick him out,
Don't do that.
but I was always afraid of my dad. I played football, big lift, but I had the fear. I was afraid of my dad, and secondly, like I said, I never wanted to disappoint him. So for me to go out there and maybe shoot somebody, do something that would be uncanny, you just wouldn't. You got to have a fear drives the world. So if a kid goes out there with no fear, no consequences, you're liable to do anything.
You know what? I agree with you in this respect, and I've said it before. A lot of the things that occur now that I would say this never would have occurred when I was coming up is punk ass parenting.
Yeah, we talked about
And I said, and we've talked about it before. I think there's a fear, and I think you hit on it earlier about wanting to be in a certain type of relationship with your children as opposed to being the authoritative figure that you should be, because there is a respect factor. And we talked about it Super Bowl Sunday, I think, when you come into the house, if there's a senior, your mother, or my mother was here, first thing you do,
You gonna speak to them first.
Off top.
you're going to speak to
You go to them first.
You give deference to
Off top.
Yeah.
maturity, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of these people are not doing that because it's not being taught in the same way that was taught to us, and that's our fault.
Gee, let me
And I
break.
say that in general terms, punk ass parenting.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that, but I'm gonna just bring up something that's been mentioned earlier, and I just want to highlight it. You said your father, your father.
Yep.
So when you have a society
With no father.
that the father is taken away, and if the mother tries to get another man, then she's off of welfare or whatever. It's not set up for that, right? So, I just look
That's
at
where the
Totally
neighborhood
Griffiths.
kind of comes in.
Absolutely, the village.
Village, that's what I'm saying.
This is a village.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? Like
Exactly.
up, down, sideways, whatever. It's a village, man, and that's super important. But no, those are good topics. Mine is a bit different, man. Something that always surprises me, and actually it embarrasses me as a black man, is running financial, right? And so think of it like a Bernie Madoff and what he did to his people. Whenever I hear about a financial planner or something, or that's taking our hard-earned income and they're in our community and they fraud, whether it's a business owner or athlete or something that someone has worked their entire life for,
Right.
Yeah.
and you're a fraud, that really irks me. Now, like you said, you mentioned the word we don't know, so let's just say we're ignorant to it. But who am I gonna really trust? Society tells me to trust someone else, but now I'm gonna trust my brother, man. I'm gonna trust my brother, right? But I'm gonna do my due diligence. I am, but the majority of us will not. and then end up with 0. That is like a mass murderer to me.
Yeah.
Straight up, because you have generational wealth one day and it's all gone. Man, that's the lowest of the low, bro. To me, that's horrible.
Well, I'll tell you, another thing is, if you remember the Atlanta shootings when the guy was in the trunk,
He was the first, bro.
and yeah.
He was the first.
That was DC.
DC, when I
sniper,
first
man.
heard that Virginia DC area, when I first heard that, God forgive me, but my first thoughts were, he is not black.
Oh, without a doubt.
Because during that time in particular,
15.
it really was persona non grata for us. I mean, that just wasn't something that
Gee, he was the
we were known.
first. I remember feeling. You believe me? When they saw his face, I'm like,
You know what I mean?
It was just like, oh, wow.
It was almost like a disappointment once I saw that it was him. I mean, I was just like, you got to be kidding me.
And then having the little
Okay.
the young brother.
Yeah.
That's
Come
all
on, man. It's crazy, man.
Man, you
All
can't.
right, let's finish this.
Let's put a bow on this. All right. So, why don't you go first, Bo?
About what?
Can we start? Can we close it out?
Yeah,
That's what we're
Say
trying
that,
to do.
say that, preacher. Can we close it out, preacher? Can we close it out?
You do it,
Can
bro.
we put a bow on it?
Let's go.
It sounds so soft.
They ain't
It sounds
working.
like
All right,
a
so
bunch of
look-
hoes.
All right. Let's go ahead and close this out. So we were talking about when we think of our community, that generally speaking, some of the things that we've seen now, whether it's shootings and kids falling out in the stores, punk ass parenting,
Cheating ass domino.
cheating ass domino players.
That's how y'all.
Yeah, well, you know, Ronnie played back. But anyways, back to the subject at hand. G, why don't you go ahead and close this out?
Well, there's so many things that are happening today that you would just be surprised at. And for me, it's the lack of respect that our youngsters have for authority. And I think that resonates in the streets, so to speak, in their everyday public life, where they don't respect, first of all, they don't respect themselves. And secondarily, they therefore don't respect others. And that's when attitudes come up. That's when trouble comes. The first time someone says something that is unbecoming to them or challenges them, two things: they want to fight or they quit. Any type of resistance, they don't know how to handle failure, as I think you talked about, Leo, or that pushback. So I'm real surprised that our children have gotten to this point, and it never would have been that way back in our day when I came up. It just wasn't that way, you know. And little children intertwined with grown-ups in a conversation, that was a no-no.
Get out of here.
That was a get out of here. You go, y'all
you
go
go
in there
play.
and talk, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah, but
don't
it sounds like
discuss
that's on us.
It is on, and I stated that earlier.
Yeah.
Part of that is our fault on that punk ass parenting that I talked about.
But is it really us being punk ass parents? Or we
Most
just,
definitely, because
I think
kids
it
don't
is.
come programmed.
I think it
Your
is.
kid, your child get away with what you allow him or her to get away with.
But Rob, all our kids have. At some point
But
in
to
time,
what level?
To what
There's
degree?
degrees of
I
it,
think
right?
that's-
yeah, there is
My-
degrees.
Not,
So
not,
I
not,
think-
not in our face like Tom mentioned.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? We might find out about something.
Yeah, I mean,
after
so
the
I think
fact.
that's on us. as
But I
parents.
think one word we haven't touched on is culture, right? And so I think
No,
now,
it's- well-
so when
Fit in.
when we were segregated, we had a culture. We had an absolute culture. There was
said something.
there was no distinction on the street over than your street. If you got in trouble, they were gonna get in trouble for the same kind of thing.
You gonna get your ass whooped before you hit that corner.
Yeah, but I mean, but
If you get your ass whooped over
everybody,
there and you hit that corner, get home. They already called. They done send word. That's what they call it. I'm gonna send word.
yes, but I
They
think
waiting
along,
on you at the porch.
But I guess as I think about closing this out, along the way, when we moved out to the suburbs because we wanted to provide a better life for our children, with that came a price.
Yes.
Because now it's no longer a community. We have folk communities, right? So we get a couple hours at church together. We may have a fraternity meeting. We may get together and play dominoes. But it's not when our kids walk out the street, they don't know the neighbors up and down the street.
Right.
Yeah.
And they have different values up and down the street.
It's true.
So Dan, that's you, Leo. What closing comments as you on what you got to say?
Well, it's a concoction of everything that Dan said, Ronnie said, and Greg. I attribute it mainly to, like I said, culture was us against them, and being that we're intertwined in different societies, there's kids get to see more. There's so much information out there. And like I said, I only have, when I grew up, it was like I had my little community. My father raised me, and my neighbors had the same kind of, it was consistency. Right now, there's no consistency because the kids are all over the place.
Yep.
And it's just too much information out there.
Johnny, what you got?
Man, pretty much said what I had to say, my guy. We can close it out. It starts in the house. 15. It starts in the house, and I don't know the solution now, but it does. It is sad when I hear about the youth killing off one another, because you have the youth killing off each other. The system has the parents or the fathers in jail, and next thing happens is there's not enough men left. So what the women do, I mean, that's a whole nother show, okay?
Yeah. So as I think about it, I think everybody stated, the communal, the parenting aspect of it. The thought that comes to me is that how do we change it? How do we bring it back to center that, and I guess we all reach one, teach one. That, within my community and my reach, I think it has to go back with sharing what are some of the fundamental ways of life, being respectful. There are consequences for every action that we have. So my charge to all of us within our community that we have, our village, is to try to grab a hold, because if we ever need to do something, we need to do it now. So like always, peace, love, and hair grease, take whichever one you need.
Real talk, like, why do you say hair grease though?
Because you
I was
don't have
thinking that
none.
the other night.
You don't.
Don't touch me, man.
You bald, I'm bald, and I just
I don't bought nothing. I'm solo in here, man.
peace.